I have no idea to this day what that young effeminate gentleman was singing about. Truth is, I don't want to know. Some things are best left unsaid. I'd like to think he was thinking about something so beautiful it can't be expressed in words, and makes your heart ache because of it. It was like some beautiful bird flapped into our drab little cage and made those walls dissolve away. And for the briefest of moments, every last man at Shawshank felt free.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and Jimmy Kimmel is seething last night and put out a cringe-inducing, a cringe-worthy monologue that was mocked by basically everybody around as Donald Trump continues to surge in the polls after his ridiculous conviction in New York. The left is trying to pretend, they're trying to cope and seethe like this is a victory. In spite of that fact, we have more and more Democrat stories coming out. Democrats who are now saying, hey, I voted for Biden, now I'm voting for Trump. People are getting flipped all over this country. And the conviction itself is, not going to affect people who already supported Trump. So all this is doing is rallying independents who see the legal system being weaponized against a political opponent, the corruption being laid forth to bear, wide open, never been more obvious. Trump 2024. Don't forget to vote. Vote early. Vote. I won't say, vote early. Get that done. Don't wait. As soon as you can, get in there and vote. That way you can, you can avoid any kind of potential technical issues on that day. Let's get into all this hilarity after a super quick word from this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Shout out to this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Look, it's 2024. If you aren't using a VPN yet, you're completely missing out, and Private Internet Access is the one I use on all of my devices. If you've been following the news, you see that censorship, websites, apps are getting shut down in certain countries, all sorts of craziness. Well, a VPN helps you never have to worry about that. Private Internet Access also protects you from the prying eyes of hackers, internet service providers, and others that can view your personal data. Perhaps also just as importantly, Private Internet Access allows you to access region-restricted content from all over the world. Streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more have different library options based on where you're located, and some shows simply cannot be accessed if you're not in the target location. Happens to me all the time. Many sports events also have regional blackouts. Well, VPNs can be a convenient way to make sure you're getting the content that you're paying for. Private Internet Access also allows you to protect an unlimited amount of devices all at the same time, so your entire household with a single subscription. And I've been working with Private Internet Access so long that I have an absolutely massive discount available to my viewers. Link in the description below. Get Private Internet Access today using my link. Save huge, protect your computers, access all the content that you've been paying for, and ensure that your internet is never censored. If you don't already have a VPN, make sure you get Private Internet Access. It may be a requirement at some point in the near future. Now, New York City mom who voted Democrat for 40 years reveals why she's voting for Trump in spite of a guilty verdict. If you look at the polling data in a lot of these Democrat strongholds, sure, Joe Biden is still leading, but it's by mere single-digit points, where you could take a city like New York, where, essentially Joe Biden has been, the Democrats have had a double-digit lead. It's been a slam dunk, from the free throw line for Democrats for the last 20 years, inching closer and closer. Now, will Joe Biden still win New York? Maybe. I mean, historical data says yes, but if the Democrats do any more craziness, in particular, hold any more trials in any other Democrat strongholds, that may change. And New York may flip red. That would be unprecedented and perhaps the biggest embarrassment to the Democratic Party in history since slavery, I would guess. Madeleine Brame, who lost her son to a lunatic in 2018, attended Trump's rally in the South Bronx last week to show her support for presumptive Republican nominee president. She said she'd been turned away from the Democratic Party after her son lost his life, and she blames progressive Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg for going soft on these people. Well, yeah, I mean, I think one of the stupidest things that the left takes for granted is that normal people will tolerate these soft on crime district attorneys, these soft on crime liberals. They won't. Just because people live in the city or live in the inner city doesn't mean they want to feel unsafe. A lot of people that live there don't have a choice about living there. They can't get out. They're just living paycheck to paycheck. And, you know, even though they may be black or brown, sorry to inform you, liberals, but they also don't want to get, lose their lives to some idiot moron lunatic who, you know, had committed multiple crimes and had been caught and released multiple times by woke prosecutors. We see even that woke prosecutor, I think it was in Seattle or Oregon, lost their position not that long ago because, you know, here you have one of the wokest states in the country and you have a Soros-backed DA and they're gone because people are sick of being afraid to go outside. She said, I've been in this fight for about 6 years and we support Trump because we know that he cares about issues that happen here in this community, even to the point where he's actually showing up in the South Bronx, the dirty South Bronx that's full of crime and poverty. He's actually here. This is a thing that Trump could do. Again, that simply does not happen with Democrats. Most of the time, the joke has been that Democrats only show up in the inner city on election time. If Trump were to go on a massive tour downtown Chicago, sure, he's probably not flipping Illinois, but he could make it closer. He could pick some inner cities in battleground states. He could go to Detroit, Michigan. He could go to Minneapolis, Twin Cities in Minnesota, and really go out there and show these people that, hey, you know, tough on crime is actually a good thing. Feeling safe in your community is actually a good thing. He could flip one of these states. I mean, all he has to do is, you know, if he flips Pennsylvania, you know, if he gets Pennsylvania, it's practically over. If he flips Michigan, Wisconsin, I mean, of the states that he could flip, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Arizona, Nevada's leaning heavily, but I mean, and give him 2 out of 10 or 12 of these states and he wins. He's just got to get out there. That's what the Democrats are afraid of. That's why they've been trying to tie him up in court. They want to make sure he's sitting in court, not out there, you know, talking to their golden gooses, which is a lot of these inner city communities who have been ravaged by crime and woke DAs. You know, they don't want to live like that. You know, the liberals, the liberals who are racist think that black people want to live in poverty and live in fear of their life constantly. But I happen to think that that's not the case. You see, Brahms said on X, obscene amounts of our tax dollars were spent on this trial, but the Manhattan District Attorney doesn't have any money to take cases where people lose their lives to trial. She had, no matter the verdict, I have one job to do, and that's to vote their rear ends out, up and down the line. Game over. Brahms' son, Hasan Correa, 35-year-old father of 3 and Army veteran, lost his life to a group of people that he did not even know in Harlem in 2018, losing his life to an altercation. She has blamed Bragg for going soft on perpetrators. 2 of them struck plea deals with Manhattan prosecutors, and 1 has already been let off on time served. So they're all back out there free to stab again. You know, I mean, that's essentially what it is. You know, they're allowed to go free to stab again, and they will. You know, if people believe that there are no actual consequences, why on earth would you expect them to act differently? How can you even blame them at this point? How can you expect people to act differently when there's no consequences for them acting the way that they're acting? By the way, consequences can be good and bad. It is a neutral thing. So if you want people to act a certain way, you can give them positive consequences. You can give them a reason to act that way. If you want people to act bad, well, then you can reward it. If you can walk into a LuLaRoe and steal $5,000 worth of leggings, sell it for $3,000 cash or $2,000 cash, spend that money, get arrested a week later, get let right back out because their jails are full. I mean, build more jails then. Letting these criminals back out to wreak havoc on law-abiding citizens is not a solution that most people who vote will support. And they're starting to change. They're starting to feel that way, right? James Saunders pled guilty, all this kind of stuff. And all these, you know, Alvin Bragg says white-collar crime is the core of the New York District Attorney does. Crimes where people lose their lives in New York, not so much. Regular, everyday people in New York City have had enough of this. And they're going to go out and vote for somebody who they think is going to be tough on crime. I hope that you see a gigantic red wave. It doesn't even have to be red. Dang, if you had a Democrat that was going to be tough on crime and who isn't woke, I would strongly consider voting for them in my local elections. Just keep people safe. If people do, commit crimes, then, put them in jail. That's not really asking too much. And then last night, Jimmy Kimmel not only delivered perhaps a legendary cringe-worthy monologue, but he also admitted to sending some lunatics down to the trial to get news clips. Liberal comedian Jimmy Kimmel couldn't stop gloating in a cringe-worthy monologue that imagined Trump having a full diety upon his 34 felony count conviction. He also revealed that a man who went viral holding up a sign declaring Trump Father Teresa was staged. Kimmel, who frequently jokes about his disdain for the former president. Well, he also hates half of America, by the way. And if you didn't get the jab, he hates you too, right? Or if you got the jab and you didn't want to, he hates you too. If you're not up on your 75th, boost, he hates you too. The former Man Show host immediately began celebrating Trump's guilty verdict in Manhattan, a big case, blah, 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 blah. He then joked that his writing staff had to rewrite his whole monologue. Oh, so he doesn't even write his own jokes. Wow. So, you can't really call him a comedian then, can you? When the verdict was announced before donning a judge robe to reenact the verdict with his sidekick Guillermo. Kimmel went on and on about Trump some more, to his Los Angeles audience's delight. Again, I don't really know how this shakes out for them. This isn't going to stop him from running for the election. It's giving him unprecedented levels of independent support from independents. And now, I didn't before, but now I fully endorse and support retaliation. I just do. Every crumb-bum Democrat that has even a tiniest skeleton in their closet, I want them held up in court for the rest of their natural living lives. I want every one of these losers voted out, obviously, but I also want whatever Trump appointees I want every federal judge, every state level judge to give them a taste of their own medicine. And you might say, Jeremy, that's doing what they're doing, and that's not the way. You're right. Don't care. This is the precedent that they've set, and if we don't make them pay a penalty for that by having Joe Biden prosecuted, having Hunter prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, having Fannie Willis prosecuted, having all these people spend the rest of their natural-born lives fighting charges off, that's the precedent that they've set, and that's the precedent that I want. You could call me petty, and you'd be right. And that's okay. I'm just being honest with who I am, Kimmel's monologue had somewhere around 20,000 downvotes on YouTube alone. He can have this moment. He's going to get 4 years of President Donald Trump. Keep yucking it up, keep laughing, keep rewarding this corruption, this insanity, and regular everyday people in America are going to show up and vote in November. That's all I can say. That's going to be my message between now and November. Every time I cover some nonsense that's happening like this, all I can say is remember to vote. Remember to get out there and vote in November. As soon as you can vote locally, vote. Get it done early so you don't have to stand in line. You get it done early so you don't have to let them, you don't have to worry about things breaking that day coincidentally. Get it done. Go vote. Let me know the second you do, and I will let everyone know the second I do too. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.